Hi, my name is Danial.
Okay, I'm Don Mahmood, and
the host of Decision 168 podcast.
There you go. Yeah, one of the hosts. It's since it's a new project, I'm not trying to take everything on myself, but I will be kicking things off and then work with different guests and different hosts to make sure that we bring everyone bring everyone content that's going to be most valuable to them.
I agree with you, and I think that's going to be something really awesome that we can both share with both of our audiences, right?
Agreed.
At the end of the day, and I want to first of all thank you for sharing this platform with me, and I've been using it here and there. We used it yesterday to have a video conversation, and from a project management perspective, this is a killer tool to use. So I guess let's go ahead and dive into it and talk a little bit more about Decision 168. What is it? What does it do? And how can it provide value to other people?
Sure. So just to take one step back a little bit, in addition to it being a platform, basically it's a community that we're building of like-minded individuals and well-to-do, experienced, CEOs, founders, and others that can actually provide value. So we're building that community where people can connect, collaborate, and then delegate, and then grow together.
That's amazing.
For different projects, different tasks that they may be working on.
Okay, so give me an example of a task that you and I would be maybe working on.
So, like we connected first, right? After we connected, we talked a little bit about. I mean, obviously we haven't used the platform to actually, put a project together, but we went ahead and got things started. We started collaborating. We came up with the ideas. You visualize, plan, implement. Basically, I like to use all these little words that kind of just stick to your mind, right? So we visualized our goals that we wanted to achieve. Then we start planning out those different tasks. Now we're here. We set up the equipment, make sure everything is working appropriately, and testing it out. And then once this is working correctly, then we're just going to repeat the process. And then one day maybe one project, another day maybe another project, so on. So. I know on Decision 168, the kind of content that we'd like to bring is inspirational and basically sharing stories of not only successes but failures as well, because that's wherein lies the lesson of what to do and what not to do.
I agree. So, I mean, there's so many failures in probably both of our lives where we could provide so much information and the headaches and the struggles of like maybe sleeping on the floor of a restaurant or maybe just trying to bang your head against a wall just to figure out a solution to a problem. And that's what makes entrepreneurs, in my mind, be very unique, because they're actually critical thinkers that make a difference in the world. And I believe Decision 168 is aiming to help maybe streamline that critical thinking process.
So basically, what it would be is like something that we can help bring a life balance. You have work-life balance. So I call it life balance because your work is a part of life, and if you're not working, your life is not going to be fulfilling, because you do have to, provide for your family. You have to do certain things to, make ends meet. So that's where the work comes in. But that's not something separate. That's part of your life. And I think Trevor Noah, the comedian, he kind of made a similar statement, like life balance. So that's what I'd like to kind of work towards achieving, and it's always a pursuit of happiness. So that's what. I kind of try to strive for more on the emotional side, and then support for others.
And I can attest to that, actually, because you've supported me in a couple different ways while I was building out Halal Nation, the newsletter, and the other components of it, and even the podcast to a degree. And that's just been awesome. And I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart, first of all, for being a good friend and an ally in terms of building and helping me and guiding me build this platform out for an audience.
Likewise, I think it goes hand in hand. I mean, if you're looking at yourself as an individual to try to do everything yourself, it's not going to happen. It's kind of like a brick, If you have one brick, that's all it is. But when you get a whole bunch of them together and you have a whole plan, you can start building a foundation and building those mansions and everything that...
Definitely, right? Definitely. So I guess let's get into it. Let's see what the Decision 168 platform is, how it can benefit other people, and then hopefully the viewers can eventually take part and go with a free trial and learn and see how this can benefit you.
Yep, so I got this part going now. I will go ahead and hit record. So should be recording my screen there now. So When you first, should I log in from the very beginning?
Yeah, I think we should go ahead and do it from the very beginning, because then that way we can walk the end user through the journey of how they get this thing up and running.
Sure,
right?
sure. So when you come to the the website for Decision 168, if you haven't created an account, you can create a free one. Just register. It takes you less than 3 minutes. We got that part recorded and tracked. So that's very simple. But if anyone does have any issues with it, just let us know. We'll walk you through it. But you just create your account. Very simple. Since I already have one, I'm gonna just go ahead and log in. All right, got my email already there. All right. So now that I'm in, initially you'll come across with no portfolios here. Your portfolio is essentially your workspace, or it could be your client or a particular set of projects that you will be working on. So a lot of this is built based on being able to be customized, right, for your specific workflows. And we wanted this to be super easy to use. So when you first come in, you'll have like a tour. I've already been through it a couple times, but if you need to do it again, you can do that. It kind of gives you a highlight of every specific area. And I'm not going to go through all of these specific details, but you can see it highlights a specific area, and then it tells you what it is and what it does, and then you can go through that entire process, right? So I'll skip that, and then also you have a get started piece, so it shows you what to do, creating your first portfolio, basically tying in. Well, I've already created my first portfolio, so it's not going to let me do that. I got several portfolios already on here.
Wow. Right. So you got EK Jeans, Intelli.
Yeah, this was another client that we were working with, doing some demo work and getting things organized with them. MessMart is another one of my projects. Omni Beauty Spa, she's been great, good supporter. She's supported me in several projects already. So then we have a tester folder that we did. Then Real Don Mahmood, I keep that a little bit separate for some of the other work that I need to do. So this is not only for business, you can use it for personal use. And if you're managing your household, managing your bills, you got to set up reminders to make sure everything is paid. You want to store your documentation, you can do all that kind of stuff.
So then this brings me up to a really good question, and that would be, and this is not to say that your product is bad or anything, but the question here is, why wouldn't I just use a calendar, right?
Yeah, you can.
So you mind showing us how that would work, and maybe how that would be more valuable than using like a regular Google Calendar, maybe?
Yeah. So the Google Calendar is good. We'll, if you're having meetings and things like that, it's good. You can integrate that in there as well. But what you want to do is when you're working with specific clients or tasks and things like that, you want to be able to manage everything in one place, right? So there's, instead of having to go into so many different platforms, apps and stuff, whatever, you can do a lot of that stuff here.
So you're basically saying that I can, if I'm working on multiple different projects for multiple different clients, instead of hunting for individual calendars, it'll now be synchronized into one singular spot, which makes it substantially easier for me to manage my time better.
Right. And then, so the calendar, there's some components that are meant for you specifically because this is your account, right?
Got it.
There's some things that are meant for the client. So what I'm working on for Decision 168 is not going to get confused with EK Jeans or any of the others, right? So let's just say if I'm looking at my notes here, right? So I can quickly take my notes, a little brain dump, this or whatever, and then once I'm ready for to dive a little bit deeper into it, I just hop in and pull up the notes section, and then I can work on it individually here, right? So
now, is there any way to like create from a note? Can you go directly into creating a calendar invite, or maybe a calendar type like thing?
Yeah, eventually we'll. Not at this time. I mean, there are so many features. I think over 1,500 different features that we'll end up having, if not more. But we wanted to get to a certain point. We want people to start using it, testing it out, get their feedback rather than us, putting everything together.
Building for the sake of building, right?
Right.
So it's more so, hey, let's get some critical feedback.
Yeah.
Let's iterate based off of what people really want, and then graduate to another level where it's like, oh, we've got your key features.
Right,
but we're working on those other little tiny things you want too. It might just take a little bit longer.
Right.
Right.
And what I've done, so my background is in apparel manufacturing. That's where I actually started. So I have a very good understanding of operations and how to make sure things are efficient. Like having your assembly lines and procurement and all sorts of stuff in healthcare. In healthcare IT as well. I've done a lot of project management for a few hospitals doing implementation projects. So there's a lot of experience that I had with identifying different areas where there was a lot of room for improvement in across the board, in whether it was in apparel or construction or in the healthcare IT space, right? So I took all of those holes and made sure that, okay, how can we make it a little bit easier for people to operate, right? There was a lot of overlap, so we kind of minimized that overlap, or actually removed it. So again, I think I was making the statement a little bit earlier. Is like a tool is only as good as how well someone knows how to use it, right?
Of course.
So we've made it kind of like Apple, where you can just go in and start messing with it. You start learning how to use it, right? So over here on the left-hand side, you'll see, or it has all these different functions and features and such. So you can come in here and basically figure out how to use it yourself, even if you're not going through the tools and such, right? So and it's all customizable. If you want to be super detailed, you can start with the goals. Identify your goal for the next 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, whatever it is, and then you have KPIs in there. Within those KPIs, you have projects. Projects have tasks. Tasks have subtasks, and then you can also, as you're working with a goal or a project, you have the file folders already made up. So as you're working on things, instead of having to file things a different way, because you started from the very beginning, you're automatically putting everything in a file cabinet. All right, the file cabinet actually gets coordinated for you in the very beginning when you create your portfolio. So if you have software development, research and development, HR, whatever you have set up, it's already created for you. So if you need to come back and pick things up, you can easily get it. If you want to run some reports, you can run reports of how much work has been done, how many projects have you done, who's supposed to be doing it, what's the time, effort that's been put in. That's one of the big things that you can manage in here now as well. I'll kind of show you.
So this tool would be in many ways similar to like a ClickUp or a Monday or an Asana or even a Trello, or it's a mixture of those components,
yeah,
right?
It's a mixture of those components. A lot of the users that I've already showed this to, we're already way ahead of Trello. ClickUp is $1 billion company. It's going to be a long ways to go, but that's the direction that we're going in. How can we make life a little bit more easier? Without getting into too much, talking about the competitors, there are a lot of holes that we see in how they're running things or how their platforms operate. And we're trying to go against the grain on that so we can fix those problems beforehand. One of the biggest things I see is being able to learn how to use the platform. So that's what we're trying to do, is make sure that
it's so easy, it's user-friendly from the very beginning, so it's like, I don't have to think about how to use this.
Right.
If I've used a platform like an Apple device or a MacBook or whatever,
right,
or even a Windows device to a degree, right? I'll be able to figure it out, I'll be able to pick it up, and I'll be able to execute and use it for my needs and my purpose, right?
Exactly. So like I was saying earlier, like if you want to start with the bottom up, you can do your tasks and just keep recording all these different tasks. And then as you show them in progress and review whatever's done, you can do all that. And then let me see. So it kind of shows everything to you like this, like who is assigned to on your team, who's supposed to be working on it on that particular portfolio, right? So those type of things will cover up or not cover, but cover. Yeah. And it's easily addressable. So for each task, you have a chat section, right? So if you want to talk about that specific task and you make these comments here, it'll lead it straight to the project also. So when you're looking at the project, you can see all the comments that are related to the specific task. You can see.
So it truly is like a real project management tool assigned to a specific project code, and therefore anything related to that particular subset of tasks flow directly straight up, right?
Right. A true work management, not only project management, but like overall work management. So I don't want to confuse it to be just a project. So it's not only for project managers. This is for anybody that wants to get organized, get things done, and know where they are.
I mean, I could see it being used in the case of, let's say, a household, for example, right?
Yeah.
Like you mentioned earlier, hey, I have all these things that need to be taken care of this month.
Yeah.
How do I go about doing it? I'll chunk it out, and then I can then implement it in little tiny pieces, and then that way I achieve my goal or target, whatever that may be, whether it's financial planning, budgeting, whatever, for a household.
Yep.
But, I mean...
Also, if you're having a dinner or something like that, you're planning an event, you know, how many people are coming over, who are you inviting, all that type of stuff. So
what kind of food, right?
Yeah, you can organize all that stuff here, and then when you're actually having the event, kind of like some of your other invitation type of software, you can actually come in here, create the event, right, and then invite all of your attendees. Where'd it go? Yeah, you're going to invite all of your attendees with their email addresses. And then once they receive it, they can RSVP, yeah, they're coming or they're not coming. And then you get all of that information back to you. So, okay, so-and-so is not coming. And if you want to put a deadline, you can put a deadline on there. And that way you know by X date you got, 300 people coming instead of 500. So you don't have to arrange, set up for that.
Yeah, like food or cake or whatever else you may need, right? You can adjust your pricing or your...
And not everybody sees that. Only as a host you see that. Whereas on the meetings, when you're creating a meeting, there's another thing I haven't seen some of the other companies. They integrate with, say, a Zoom or something like that. We have our own meeting platform. You can do a immediate meeting by starting a new meeting, or you can schedule one, right? And then same thing. When you schedule the meeting, everyone that you invite in their email, they see, okay, who's the host, who's been invited, who's accepted, and who's pending. So all that information is there. You can add images and specific notes.
So here's a question. Let's say I don't have a Decision 168 platform, but that email goes out to them. They would still be able to access those meeting platforms or the meeting itself, right?
Yeah, so if it's a meeting, they can still accept the meeting invite. They don't have to have an account. And then in their email, they'll see the agenda and all that stuff. Cool. So if you have that account, great, it'll pull it all your calendar. If you don't, it's okay. It'll be in your email. It'll let you know where the information is. So the video part, you can just schedule start a new meeting. Let's see this thing.
There we go.
Yep. Just gonna pull my camera up over here, so I'm gonna turn that off. You can share your meeting link with whomever when you're starting a new meeting, and you join the meeting, and it'll go into your particular meeting.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So if you schedule a meeting, you can. Let me go ahead and close that, as we don't need that. If you want to go to your calendar and schedule a meeting, you can do it from there on whichever date that you want. Obviously, that's how a calendar works. Let's say if I want to have a meeting on the 29th, you just set it all up over here. It gives you your own link for that particular meeting. If you don't want to use the Decision 168 portion, you can create your own link and just input your Teams or Google Meet or Zoom, whatever your meeting link is. You can put that in there. If there's any files that you want to add in there, agendas or whatever, you can add that in there, and then have your little note, and then all that goes to your attendees.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So in a nutshell, it gives you pretty much everything that you would need, and obviously not everything that we want to include in there is there yet, but it is a work in progress, and it always will, because we want to make things better on an ongoing basis. So. Yeah. Any questions? The part that I did not tell you about, I think you're in here, is the community part. So this is where the community portion comes in. It's like you're able to connect with decision makers that know what they're talking about. Everyone is vetted in here, so you can be assured that the advice that you would get from them would be of value, right? So you can come in here. If you haven't created a account, it won't show that to me because I've already created mine. It's not going to show me my account, but
but yeah, I have.
Yeah, since you have your account here, other users can come here. They can book some time with you. you have options as a decision maker. You have options to set up multiple time slots. You're setting your own rates, your own availability, and you can just come in here and if I want to book some time with you, I can go ahead and do that. I request it, you approve it, I pay for it, and then we have our meeting. So again, in a nutshell, that's where. So this is where the community part comes in. So, technology is amazing. It's awesome, and as fast as technology is changing, we always have to update, right? But what's not changing is people. Yeah. And the need for people to connect, especially with what happened with the pandemic. People are kind of spread out all over the place, and now some people want everybody to get back in the office. But the way this is set up, it's again truly life balance. You want to make informed decisions. You can only make informed decisions if you have all the information at your fingertips. So that's why you're kind of keeping track of everything. You're connecting with the community, your team, and just keeping things simple and making things happen.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Thanks.
And just for the audience, I think this has so many use cases. It also gives them an opportunity to earn some money, right?
Yeah.
It legitimately creates an opportunity for them where, hey, if they have a skill set, they can put themselves as a decision maker. They can give their advice away, and whether it's for $50, $100, you name it, they get to walk home or walk away with per hour a decent chunk of change, which could then hopefully impact their life in such a positive way, right?
Yep.
And then at the same time, they're also impacting the life of another entrepreneur or another person to then get better advice to make better quality, sound decisions.
Yep, exactly.
And that's where Decision 168 comes in, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it's all about the decisions that we make today because they shape the us of tomorrow. I think that's how I have one of my taglines or something like that. The decisions we make today shape the us of tomorrow. All right. So.
All right. Is there anything else that's interesting that you'd like to share that you think would differentiate your product, or maybe provide even more value to anybody else?
So there's a lot. I can keep talking about this forever. But so outside of the platform, we have obviously articles that we will put in regularly. You can be a contributing writer if you have value to provide. We love to include articles that could help other entrepreneurs or business owners, small business owners to kind of get into the world of business. One thing I want people to understand is social media is great. It's a very powerful tool, but a lot of people don't use it as the tool what it's created for. To fall into the trap of it's all this glamour and the Lamborghinis, the mansions, all that stuff is good, right? But you have to work your ass off for it. There's no if anyone says it's easy, entrepreneurship it will break you if you can't handle it. Don't even try to. It's not for the faint of heart. It's not easy. You will spend time away from your family. You will spend time away from your friends. You won't have any friends. You'll have late nights. I work from home and I have an office. I barely ever go to the office because I wake up at 5 to 6 o'clock in the morning, and my routine is just come straight to work. And I don't even eat lunch until maybe like 12:30 or 1 o'clock, if that. So there are a lot of things that I need to do to organize my calendar a little bit more so I can have some me time for that life balance. But this is what I like to do. I love to be busy. I love to do things. And if you can't tell with the different portfolios I have on here, but if you look at, I'll show you my personal website real quick. I have several projects already on here. I love being busy. I love doing different things, right? So whether it's the clothing business, the medical education business, Decision 168, window treatments, home improvement, Z2 Square's marketing consulting company, the MedSmarter Foundation, and recently we just added FlexSpace 168, which ties back into Decision 168. So there's a lot of opportunity. If anyone wants to jump in and say, hey, you know what, I want to get involved, I want to do this, let's talk. There's a lot that can be done.
So actually, this brings me to my next good point, which would be if people want to reach out to you, if they want to learn more about you, where would they find more about you? What's your social handles?
So, I'm super easy. If you go in, if you can't remember, just Google Don Mahmood, DonMahmood.
Okay.
My website is www.donmahmood.com.
Yeah.
On LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff. And then each of these projects have their own handles, like at Decision168, Decision168, at MedSmarter is MedSmarter. So I try to keep everything easily findable, easily organized. So, and I use Decision168 methodology. I may not use all of those projects and everything because there's more people involved in it, but that's the methodology that I use.
No, and that's amazing. You're definitely an interesting person to talk to about this because you have so many. You've touched many different industries, and however long you've been doing business for probably the past 20 years or so, right? This is just phenomenal.
Yeah, I like to say that alhamdulillah, I've made a lot of money, but unfortunately I've lost just a little bit more. So I think that's part of it, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's got to be about the vision, about what you want to do. You will have a lot of naysayers that sometimes, oh yeah, you're doing way too much. Compared to what? I'm doing everything that I feel is related to each other, and at one time something may be growing, and another time something may not be. But yeah, you do have to focus. I do agree with that. You do have to focus on one thing at a time. But everything that I'm working on is correlated.
It's interlinked, right?
Yeah, it's interlinked, and it's not like for example, is you're working on your clothing line. The clothing line itself requires so much work. I intentionally kind of step back away from it, and then once the timing is right, I'll push it in. But one thing that I do include in here is like all the knowledge, experience, relationships that I have. I don't know if you can see over here or not, but the T-shirts that we get made, the products that we get made for Decision168 or MedSmarter or other clients, we utilize that same knowledge and experience in those relationships to get things done.
And that's awesome. That's amazing.
Yeah. And then I got a book I'm working on too.
All right.
In my spare time.
We'll be looking at the book. When do you think you're gonna have that coming out?
It again, like a lot of things, it's a work in progress, but it does tie into what I'm doing with Decision168. It's called 50 Tips to Inspire Weekly Actions Daily. So a lot of the content that I already have created in Decision168 is what we'll translate into a book and share some interviews and stories and support from friends like yourself. Of course,
Absolutely.
The other portion to that is, of course, we'll have our podcast, which is one of the things that we're working on. We call it the Decision168 Audio Jungle on our side of things. There's a couple of episodes we already did a while back. This one was the pilot I actually did with my good friend Chris Thomas, and him and I go back well over 20 plus years.
Wow.
And he was actually the marketing director for my clothing line, Eclectic Jeans, when we were working on that. So a lot of experience, and he's actually one of the people that are creating his decision maker profile. So if somebody wants to tap into some marketing insight and get some valuable information, you can book some time with him. And I'll show you, that's him there. We'll have his spotlight coming up here within the next couple of weeks. So that's one thing that we like to do is we'll highlight decision makers, CEOs, startups, people and that can actually, they're bringing value and they're making a change for the better. This is one that we did with Danial, he's CEO of Intelli. And then there's a whole little, question and answer session that we did with him. Feel free to read that. It's a lot of content. This was a show that we did with them in Miami live. So again, the nutshell gets bigger and bigger, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot to fit in there. Yeah, that's where we're at.
Of course, that's awesome. Well, it was a pleasure, man. I really do appreciate it, and hopefully we'll see. We'll have another podcast episode come out maybe 6 months down the road. We'll see where Decision 168's gone, and what
you
companies.
You might have to schedule some more time with me then.
Of course. Why not?
Yeah, no, I'm just kidding, man. Anything, everything. Whenever you want to hook up, I'll make myself available.
Sure, sounds good.
I appreciate you bringing everything, setting all this stuff up, making sure everything's gonna be working right. So
yeah.
All right.
All right.
Thanks a lot.
I think we'll call this a wrap. It was a pleasure, my man.
Yep.